Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, my name is Olivia, and today's video, I am debuting, unboxing my newest creation. Ta-da! I don't know if you could see it clearly with my ring lights, but this is my newest baby, my girls coloring book titled Empowering Shades, a coloring book for girls of color. So this literally came in the mail yesterday. If you follow me on Instagram, I put some posts up. I think Sunday and Monday, I started putting some posts up, just saying she's here. So if you're a mom, grandmother, godmother, aunt, whatever role you play in the life of a girl of color, you've come to the right video. Grab a drink and come on over and let's discuss. So I created this book, this coloring book for girls of color, because I noticed that there is a gap in the literary content space, in the coloring book space. And when I notice there's a gap, I think to myself, it's a problem, right? How can I create the solution or be a part of the solution? And so as an author and a literary content creator, I attend a lot of vendor events, pop-up shops, all those kinds of things, right? Wherever kids are, I try to be there and to promote my books. Most of my books are for children. Some are for adults, but in today's video, I want to really hone in on the coloring book piece of my bookpreneur, my book business. And so in me participating as a vendor in a lot of family-friendly events, I come across a lot of girls of color, boys too, but since I'm a girl, I'm going to start there. And oftentimes they are interested in coloring books and other books, right? And in conversating, it's come up several times that they are interested in books that are focused on them, right? And we're talking about coloring books that are focused on girls of color, right? And so when I say girls of color, people may automatically assume African American, right? But that's not necessarily true. Yes, African American girls fall into the space of girls of color. When I say girls of color, I am referring to Hispanics, I am referring to Middle Eastern, Indian, Latinx, all of that, right? Any kind of, there's a net, any kind of girl that does not identify with Caucasian or something under the Caucasian umbrella, right? That's what girls of color are, right? Filipinos, all of those, right? I can't think of the entire list at the moment, but I created this book with them in mind, this coloring book with them in mind, right? Because I think it is important for girls to have representation, right? And there is a lot of representation for a lot of other ethnic groups, right? A lot of other categories. But I find that there is a huge gap when it comes to girls of color, right? If you go into Barnes and Nobles today, or any standard bookstore, or even in a classroom, right? Doesn't matter the city or the state, or, you know, wherever, you will find a lot more of, let's say, generic based coloring books, right? And I've created like a lot of coloring books. This is book number 9, right? My newest one is book number 9. And out of my 9 coloring books, I've only done 2 that are people of color related, right? The first one is curly hair girls, right? And that, you know, that one was really specific to people with curly hair, girls with curly hair, right? But it's heavily on focused on women of color, right? Yes, there are other ethnic groups that have curly hair that may not identify in the space of girls of color. I'm aware of that, right? But this book specifically came out of my conversations with girls of color at different events. And their parents and them are looking for books, coloring books, that they can see themselves in, right? Representation is important. I know when I was growing up, and I'm from a blended family, blended in the sense of genetics, and blended in the sense of ethnicities. There are different ethnicities in my family, right? When I was growing up, and I'm not afraid to talk about my age, I'm 51 years old. When I was growing up, there was no coloring books for me, right? Specifically that catered to women of color, right? I have a daughter who's 27 years old. She'll be 28 in November. And when she was growing up, I was hard pressed. This net, oh my gosh. I was hard pressed to find a coloring book that she could identify with. There's loads of, you know, the generic ones. Just talking about the ones that I've created coloring books that are not gender specific, right? For boys, dinosaur, summer activities, flowers, nutrition, you know, even for adults, I've created books that are generic for ladies, right? And that market space has a lot of options, right, under the generic umbrella. But if you were to do the research on books that were focused more towards people, girls of color, you won't find a lot, right? You won't find a lot. Pandemic really impacted the coloring book space because we were all home, you know, looking for activities to do. And so I want to always be a part of the solution. If I notice that there is a gap, if I notice that there is an issue, if it is within my power to contribute to the solution, to bridge that gap, I'm that girl, right? Coming from education space as a teacher, I completely get it, right? And so this is the base. This is the foundation. This was the fuel behind the fire of me creating this coloring book, right? And so I like big books. I don't know what the thing is, but I like big books. So most of my coloring books are 8x10, with the exception of the nutrition one, Eating Good. That one's a smaller one. I think that's a 6x9. But all my other coloring books, they're 8x10. This one is a substantial size. I believe from memory, it's 152 pages, right? And I love that. And pink is my favorite color. Of course, I had to figure out how to put pink in here, right? And so I love a glossy book for the fact that when you touch it, even though there may be fingerprints, you can easily wipe that off. Whereas a matted cover, if you get a fingerprint on there, it's staying. It's not going anywhere. So I lean towards glossy book covers all the time. And I've tried it. I've done the research. I've done both the matted finish and then the glossy. And I by far prefer the glossy, right? So I know this particular twist out hairstyle I did on my daughter when she was younger. And so I really just loved this image. And so that's why I chose to put it on the front cover. She's on the back cover as well. But yeah, so let's dive in. I mentioned 152 pages. And one of the things that I love to do is I love to include a letter or a note to the girl that will be using my coloring books, my activity books, whatever. It's kind of a standard operation process for me to always include a letter. So, and I love to call girls queens and princesses. So I said, dear beautiful queens, and just kind of went through a little note, right? And talking about representation, right? And so these are some of the pages that are included in this coloring book. And I wanted to be intentional in showing or including images of women of color that are in a professional attire or a professional space, right? Representation is important in all places, right? I want girls of color and really all girls to know that whatever work, whatever career path they want to take, it's possible. And so I didn't want to just do, just kind of one kinds of pictures. I wanted to do everything sporty. I wanted to do curly hair, braids, regular curls, hair wraps, because I am one of those girls. I wrap my hair from time to time when I feel like it. The short hair, long hair, hoop earrings, all of the things I wanted to include in this coloring book, wearing hats, the 2 braids, which I typically do 2 braids sometimes in the summertime. I'll do the 2 braid downs and just different styles that represent girls of color, that speaks to our fashion sense, that speaks to our career sense, that speaks to makeup and all of that. And so this is the premise by which I created this coloring book, my newest coloring book, Empowering Shades, a coloring book for girls of color. It's available on Amazon. It's available on my website. I'll include all that information in the descriptions below. Let me know what your thoughts are around creating coloring books for generic ones for just girls, generic for just boys, generic for nutrition. I even have one that's about vehicles, so theme specific, but also for ethnic group specific. What are your thoughts about that? Have you found it to be true that if you are a person that has a girl of color in your life, is it true for you that there is an overwhelming amount of coloring books for generic topics, and it's more difficult to find things that are specific for your girls of color? I know for me, as a mom of one daughter, that has been true my entire time of parenting her. And for me, the educator, I'm still an educator, but I'm not full-time in the classroom. But for me, the educator piece, the educator side of me, absolutely true. Even when I was teaching in a predominantly people of color school district, it was still hard pressed to find literary content that the children could identify themselves with. If you even go into a regular bookstore right now, or even the library, you'll still see a small, percentage of representation in literary content compared to a vast number and quantity of literary content that is available for other people of different ethnic groups, right? And so I wanted to be a part of the solution by providing some of the content that I see that there's a gap for. So thus the unboxing, thus the reason for creating this coloring book, my newest coloring book. Grab a copy for the girl in your life. If you're an educator, if you're in the education space, grab a copy, so that the children that you are providing service for will be blessed with this gift, right? They can see, girls specifically, can see themselves in these pages of this book, right? If you have not yet subscribed to my channel, please do so. I would appreciate your support. Turn on the notification bell. Share this video with a mom, a dad, a grandmother, an aunt, whomever that has a girl of color in their life. Share this video so that they can see this content, so that they know that there are literary content, books and things that are available for them to purchase and to gift to their children, or the girls of color that's in their life. So I want to thank you so much for stopping by my channel. Have an amazing day. Bye.